All righty, we are live. Thanks for joining us. This is You, Me, and BTC episode number 250. Holy cow, that's right. We got 250 of these suckers out there. And to be honest, there's tons more because we've done shows that weren't officially episodes. And now we have 3 other shows on our network. Thanks for joining us. I am Daniel Brown, and I'm here with
Tim Baker. Hello. How are you?
Oh, I'm
Welcome.
good. How are you? Thanks,
I wasn't
thanks,
talking
Tim.
to you,
Thanks for
Daniel.
asking. Thank you
I'm
so
only
much.
I'm only concerned about the people. I'm a man of the people.
Well, people out
People.
there listening, if you're not already here, the place to be tonight is you, me, and btc.com/live. And the reason you should be there is because it's got everything you need. It's got the video, it's got the chat, it's got some show notes, although I did not put much effort into the show notes today. I was busy. It's got a link, a single link to the story, one of the stories we're going to cover today, although we do have another one later. We're going to cover Cody Wilson, who we've talked about before, and 3D printing guns, which we've talked about before, because, well, Cody won his court case, and we'll share all the details. We also have our poll down here at the bottom. I'm curious when you, or if you think the government will ever let us 3D print tanks. I would like to. Don't know if that'll ever happen. So make sure you cop a vote down at the bottom. This is you, me, and btc.com/live. I would also like to thank this week's sponsor. It is chronologic.network. They've been with us for a while, and they've been so good to us. We hope you'll just check them out, see what they're all about at chronologic.network. They do all kinds of time-related innovation on the Ethereum blockchain. So they have products like the Ethereum alarm clock and debt smart contracts, and they've got a great development community. You can literally join on GitHub and see all their code and contribute if you like. All of that is at chronologic.network, and we thank them for being there for us when we need them. Okay, Tim, I have to, like I said, I was kind of behind today, so I'm going to send out a tweet or two, and so I'll turn it over to you to tell us what the frick happened with Cody Wilson and Defense Distributed. Or, I mean, you could even start by telling us who they are.
Well, and this is kind of weird because Cody Wilson and pretty much anything he's been involved in, and this is why I also have still, regardless of what Amir Talkie does, I will always probably at least respect him, which doesn't mean that much coming from me, or at least it shouldn't mean that much to you, sir. If you do happen to listen to this somehow, I don't expect my respect to mean anything to you, but I don't really like a lot of people. I'm very good. The only thing I'm really good at in life is finding the shitty things that other people do because it's a cover then for what I do. So I anytime someone puts forward a hero or someone with this person's amazing, whatever my first reaction is just go, no, fuck that person, because partly because I don't know what exactly it is. But Cody Wilson, I say all that to say he's been a part of Defense Distributed. That's his section of it. He worked with Darkwold. He's worked with Talkie before with that stuff. But this Defense Distributed is, I mean, I believe it's a big company, but they really, I guess, got on the map for putting out the Liberator, which was a one-shot, fully 3D printable pistol. I think you had to add in a firing pin, which you could use a nail. I do think you had to add something to it. But that's what put them on the map, was a fully 3D printable. You could, if someone has access to a 3D printer, effectively gun laws are not, I mean, they still will stop anything else. But as far as just making something irrelevant, making a law like that irrelevant, is what they did. And then after that, they got big into, they made a lot of AR-15, the lower receivers, which is the thing that you can't, that's where the markings are, I believe. I'm not quite sure. Maybe it's not even the lower receiver, but it had something to do with where you could have a this part of the gun. You can buy the rest of the, however they kind of divvy up gun laws. I don't know that much about rifles, but the way they divvy up gun laws is you can order a bunch of these different parts through the mail, but you can't order the lower receiver, I believe, because that's where like everything comes in and connects. That's where the actual action of the gun, that's where the trigger, I guess, goes in. I'm not sure, but it's an integral part. It's part of the law where you can't just buy this. Him and Defense Distributed focusing on making files where you could have that. And this was another thing where it got a lot of attention because it was called the ghost gun, because I can buy all these parts. I can take a plastic 3D printed lower receiver and there's no markings for this gun. There's nothing that can say that can trace this to you. It's a dead end. I mean, that in and of itself, I believe is illegal, just having it, but the idea is it's not at all registered. No one knows it exists. That's what the ghost gun thing got a lot of attention for. He then had problems ordering a 3D printer because, and I remember talking to you about this, Daniel, where he was like, somebody buy this for me, because whoever he made the order from was like, no, fuck that. You can't do this, which is, yeah, whatever. And then he was just like, all right, and somebody else buy me this shit, which is, again, like, they don't, and again, like Defense Distributed, they don't bitch about shit. They don't go, oh, the government's bothering us. And I'll get to that in a second. But he had the whole issue, and actually he's been, maybe it was before even the thing with the actually ordering the printer. They've had like legal issues for the past, I don't know when exactly it started, but it's been a while. It's been, I'd say, at least 5 years probably.
Yeah, I mean, I looked it up. And one of the first times we talked about it was episode 62. So if anyone wants to get there, you can go to meandbtc.com/E62. It's one of those rare two-digit episodes. We only have, like only a third of our episodes have 2 digits these days.
The Liberator came out in 2013. That's whenever he put the files out to be able to print that.
And that's what he got in trouble for, right?
I think he also got in trouble for the AR. It was just any of these files, they would take them down, and then people could just go on pirate sites, and they kind of kept them alive for a little bit like this. But again, like what I was saying, the government came and was like, hey, no, you can't do that. You can't have these files out there. And instead of like going on Twitter or something,
what was their argument?
Probably just that it's a like these are firearms.
And, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, they don't. This is the thing when I do get pissed off when people are like, yeah, but like things like work out like pretty well. Like they wouldn't just like fuck you over for something. Like, yeah, because you don't do anything and I don't do anything. But if you're actually doing stuff and they don't like it, they can just go, no, fuck you. And again, instead of bitching about things, about just complaining, they went, no, we know you don't have the laws to back this up. Like they didn't just go and just do this shit. Like it seems like they did their homework, and they're like, no, your laws are way too far behind on something like this. So fuck you. The whole point of you doing this is to scare us out of doing this. You can't hold this up in court. So they've fought them for, like I said, years. I mean, I get that nothing really works as fast as you thought it would in court, but I've like had probably months of my life where I've forgotten about Defense Distributed, and then Cody tweets like the first time in like 3 months.
Especially recently, because he's been so involved in all this stuff.
Well, that I'm sure. Yeah, like what is he going to talk about? His whole life is fighting this, and he can't be like putting that out on Twitter, or else that will fuck up the case. That's like literally the only way they were going to lose, if he went on and started telling a bunch of things, and they were like, "No, fuck you. This is contempt of court or something." But I like the last time I remember him tweeting more than once every couple months was back during the elections, when he was just like, this is exactly, he kept referencing both of them, both Trump and Clinton, being like, this is exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Was he the one that did he live tweet it or something?
What
was that, him?
Oh yeah. No, he did. He was like, what the, and he like, that's the he just kind of, he doesn't hate things either. He's super into like Bastiat and everything, which is like the classical liberal, where it's not this kind of libertarian meme, just I hate the government and that stuff. He's just like, yeah, no, like stuff's kind of fucked up a little bit, and or a lot, and like the best like incentive for people. Like people make like, what are you doing? You're just putting guns out into the public. He's like, yeah, okay, but like I'm allowed to, and like any kind of a look at history tells you that whenever a country is not able to be armed, the government tends to take a few more liberties with dealing with crowds and stuff whenever they do kind of completely take things away. Like that's never a good sign for your population whenever, because even just the idea of that is you've gotten the nation to the point where you go, yes, no, I'm more scared of us than I'm scared of the people who have everything more than me. Not that a shotgun's going to help you against a tank, but I think it does put a little bit of a damper on just kind of, oh, there's a crowd, let's kill a few of them. Like, because it's not like if the military fully came down on people, and even if the police fully came down on people like us, we would last, or whoever was involved with it would last. But
like 6 seconds.
Yeah, it's almost more like symbolic. There's still a little bit more of a respect, like the class of. Actually, I don't even know if this is true because I've never lived in like what we would classically call a totalitarian state. But I would imagine normally like the police and the military become a different class of people in that kind of a situation, which hasn't really happened
Probably.
here. Like, yeah, because you
Yeah,
think
that's fair. That's fair.
this all of this to say this defense distributed has now won the case. They're allowed to put the files out there without having the government constantly just take them down. They're allowed to offer out.
One thing to clarify, which I fudged this a little bit in the tweet I just sent out. It wasn't quite a court ruling. It was a settlement, honestly, where they were in a lawsuit with the Justice Department, and they settled it. So they never took this before a judge, at least not for a final ruling, maybe for some preliminary stuff. They never got an actual judge's ruling. They just settled it. And that part of that settlement involved paying a bunch of Cody Wilson's court fees, but not all of them. He said it was like 10%, which was $39,000, I want to say. But part of the reason I got this article here from Reason, which is the one I linked to in the show notes, and it's a pretty good article. But one of the reasons they speculate that this never went before a judge, one of the reasons it was settled was because they didn't think they stood a chance of finding a judge. The Justice Department didn't think they had a chance of finding a judge that would agree with them. Because
sorry.
Well, I don't know all the details, but presumably that's because this is such a clear thing that people should be able to do because of the Second Amendment, free speech, right to bear arms, whatever. Presumably, it's so obvious that people should be allowed to share information, even if that involves weapons. Might be so obviously allowed that they didn't think they could ever find a judge that would outlaw that.
Is that because the judges are committed to something, or is it more just that, like, I don't know, maybe I'm being prejudiced against judges, but I just kind of think of old people that are just like, no one's gonna 3D print their guns, they'll just blow apart, it won't work at all.
No, I doubt they're that naive.
I don't know, man. You see them sometimes when they're talking about shit, and it's like, what are you talking about? You're worse than my parents. Like, what are they?
Well, that's true. Like I remember we've joked about that with the hearings on Bitcoin in Congress. Those have been a joke where they have no idea what they're talking about. But I don't think that's the key here. I have the quote here from Reason, and he's also quoting from Gura. I think Gura is someone from the Second Amendment Foundation or whatever. But anyway, this guy involved in the case says, the more likely factor behind the settlement, Gura believes, is that the government, quote, realized that not a single Fifth Circuit judge that offered that they were likely to succeed on the merits. To the contrary, the centerpiece of their victory was that they would somehow avoid the merits. When they could avoid the merits no longer, suddenly the national security threat faded away, end quote. So I guess the merits of the case is just what they're talking about, but they thought, I guess they did go to some judges and get some opinions, because they say that none of these judges offered that they would succeed. None of them suggested that the Justice Department would succeed. I doubt they're all that naive, Tim. Especially if they were naive, they would they would be naive in the other direction. They would be naive and say, "Oh, all you got to do is press a button, and all of a sudden you've got this freaking fully automatic 60 clip magazine round." I don't think I'm okay with that. Like if they were that dumb, they would go the other direction and be like, "Yeah, there's no way we're letting this happen," right?
Repeat your question.
I'm saying if they were naive, really, it would be in the other direction, where they would be like, "Oh, that sounds freaking dangerous. We can't have that. They're going to be printing tanks tomorrow."
I don't know. I think people in that kind of like high of a station in life, although like because we're talking about people not like Judge Judy, like actual judges. Those people, I think, would imagine that they have a pretty good grasp of the world and are be like, why am I taking a case about this? I need to be trying somebody for smoking marijuana. What do you do? Did you mention that you said that he was suing them? Because I did fuck that up too, where I said that we said it was over the Liberator. This whatever settlement this is apparently because he sued them over what you were saying, like First and Second Amendment rights.
What the frick is going on in the chat?
I don't know. That's what distracted me whenever you were talking.
Yeah.
I was just like, what is he?
The way he's typing all this out.
No, he's copy and paste. What are you talking about? You think he's gonna? He's not gonna put in any fucking work. He's a fucking communist. These do the least part. Oh, we'll all just share ideas, and then that'll pay for everything. It'll be great. It'll just like you think there's who's ready for? Please, no, yes, please.
I'm ready. Come on, bring it on, Ben. Lay it on. Come on.
Explain more your logic with emoji, you fucking idiot. What are you talking?
Yeah, for people listening later. He just says paragraph after paragraph about like pro-socialism stuff and with emojis in place of words. And it goes on for probably like 30 or 40 chat messages here. Well, no, so lay it on us, Ben. Tell us why socialism is golden and capitalism is unsustainable. Keep it coming. I want to know. Also, welcome NY Cartoons.
What? Yeah, Jesus was wrong about a lot of things. Paul was an idiot. He told everybody just listen to the government concept. What are you trying to use? Jesus would find it abhorrent. What do you? Anyway, yeah. I mean, this is it's Marx, but just with emojis. He's like, oh, he has like an angry face for when he kicks his maid out of the house while she's pregnant. He has like a little baby emoji in there too. And then he just has like money that he's just stealing from his parents. What was the question you asked before that?
I don't think I was asking a question. You were in the middle of saying something about the Liberator.
Yeah, I was saying he got sued for that.
I'll be right back. I got to turn a fan on. I'm sweating in here.
Yeah, I just have already running in. Cody, and I'm guessing Daniel didn't say anything because he didn't stop me while I was talking, but Cody actually went and didn't attack. He sued the government over violations of First and Second Amendment rights, which, yeah, I guess I can see now where a judge wouldn't be like, yeah, no, we should stop him from sending paper around. So yeah, I mean, I guess who's saying that it was that? Who's saying that the reason why it never went to court was because they couldn't find a judge, or was?
Oh yeah, let me figure this out. So his name's Guru, but I didn't figure out exactly who he was. Let's see what we can find. Great radio we got going on here, but I promise I'll figure it out.
Well, I was just asking like if it was speculation or if it was someone involved in it. But
Second
besides
Amendment super lawyer Alan Gura
super
doesn't. This is the subtitle to the article, or like the summary right under the title, whatever. It says Second Amendment super lawyer Alan Gura doesn't think the settlement means the Trump administration are across the board gun right defenders. So
yeah.
that's another thing they covered quite a bit in this article, is they were kind of responding to a Wired article that suggested that the only reason this happened was because Trump wanted to appear pro-gun. And this was one of the ways he thought he could appear pro-gun. And then somewhere else in this article, they're like, well, literally the Trump administration had nothing to do with this case.
I wouldn't think they would. And also like him doing this would be the dumbest part. He just has to say something nice about the NRA, do nothing, and everyone will be like, see, he supports our gun rights. Where instead, like this, I haven't heard anybody else talk about this. Not that I talked to whatever. Sorry, I'm trying to use an ice pack and it's just dripping water everywhere, so I'm getting distracted. But you wouldn't do this because even if people do notice it, I can tell you most people who, not most, but I would bet there's a sizable chunk that of people who are like, yes, no, pro Second Amendment. But if you're like, yeah, no, people can just print whatever they want. People can just print guns. People can't trace the gun. They'll be like, what? What? Wait, you mean
what?
I mean, people that I voted not to have that right that I grant to everybody else in the country is now so they could have a gun? What? Minorities could have gun? Like that's probably more the issue, where it's not like there's a decent chunk of the like I like my guns, Jesus, and beer, and it's like, oh, okay, guy, they're not as much for gun control as they are, or they're not so much against they're not against gun control on any kind of a moral level or something like that. It's just, I like having guns. And I don't think certain people should be, never mind. I'm going off on a tangent where I don't really have any, I have a negative view of most of the NRA, most of what they do, and that kind of whole group of people. Like anytime I see an NRA sticker, I probably get as mad as like a typical liberal, where they're like, that's terrible. I'm like, you're not doing enough.
Yeah. I mean, we've covered this actually fairly recently. I forget what the main topic was, but I remember saying how, yes, we're more or less anarchists. Yes, we love the Second Amendment, or at least the idea of being allowed to have guns. Of course, we love that. That's why we're supporting Cody Wilson here. But, and this was just, like I said, 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were saying, but, you know, you just got to be reasonable, or you can't just assume that if everyone has a basement full of guns, then no one's ever gonna die ever. People that love their, ultra conservatism will come up with all these stories and all these statistics about, and we said the same thing about teachers. Oh, if we just arm the teachers, like no one would ever get shot. Okay, really? So we don't have to go down that whole path again, but it's same thing that you're saying about the NRA. Like no matter how much they rant and rage in good ways about the Second Amendment, like do they really accomplish anything? Do they really make sense of anything?
Well, that, and also I just like the idea of like old shitty things that I've had to listen to other people explain to me how they make such a difference just become completely pointless. Like there's no point to the Second Amendment anymore. Like as of now, there's no point to it anymore because
because we would never stand a chance against the government anyway.
Well,
so why does it matter?
No, I'm meaning because now you can just print stuff. You can just like easy access to the file. I mean, it's already been gone just because the files are out there and people could even just trade them with fucking a zip drive. But now that it's out on the internet, now that it's proliferated like that.
Well, I agree. I would say there's a lot of progress to be made because a single shot like 22 pistol made out of plastic is a long way away from, well, and then they have the AR too. They're making progress, but I think they can do a lot better.
No, they can, but that's what I'm saying is I like the fact that regardless, like, oh, the NRA has defended freedom, because that's probably what you'll get is you'll say, and I've heard people make this argument before, and I've seen people argue where someone will, I don't know what it's called, but there's another more like libertarian-esque, more focused on like coming up with a real answer as to why we believe in guns or why they believe in guns. And somebody, if somebody says that they prefer donating to that, other people are like, the NRA has done so much more, blah 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 blah. But now the NRA and all this stuff about trying to protect the Second Amendment is we don't need it anymore. Just because like something like this, and this is why I can never get behind socialism, nothing like behind any of this stuff, because socialism tends to have a much stronger, much more focused government. It seems like the people believe it a little bit more, because normally when you're trying socialism, you're going from a country that's been pissed off at rich people in their country. So then they go, fuck it, we used to have God, let's just make the government God and we'll just worship that. So then any kind of a dissident is very easily kind of pushed out. But it's dissidents, it's people who do stuff like this, who actually secure a right. The Second Amendment has never meant anything. It can be taken like it's a piece of paper and it says no, we won't take them away, but we'll just take them away in little kinds of ways that we deem okay. Like it's a piece of paper, and that's the whole thing with people. The Constitution, it is just a fucking piece of paper, and if you expect that to hold people back from doing things, then I don't want to say I can't have a conversation with you, but nobody accepts that that's kind of ridiculous to expect people to just listen to a piece of paper always.
Right.
Just living your life, you don't do that at all. So, but like any kind of a system that promotes dissidence, or I don't even know if system does that, but it's a system that at least allows it, has actual freedom. Then I think we take away a lot from when we talk about freedom, when we talk about that, we take a lot away from, maybe we don't, maybe they're celebrated, maybe it's just kind of like most people, we disregard how much of dissidence and how much of like actual freedom comes from people who we would like, you normally grow up thinking, oh, that's a bad person, like they're breaking the law, the blah blah blah. A lot of bad stuff happens, and like you were saying, like guns do a lot of bad things too, and Bitcoin has done a lot of bad things too.
Yeah.
But criminal activity is always, like we talked about Bitcoin before, is always kind of on the cutting edge of some new technology, whether that's because normally it's because you're trying to get around the most recent kind of encroach, I guess, by the government, or some new feature. So then it's criminals in like the military using new shit because they don't give a fuck. And that's, I think, what brings things that'll eventually like actually secure rights for us, because there's still just permissions. There's no who is giving me this right? It's just us as a collective.
Right. Yeah. Same thing. Just like a piece of paper. It just says that. It doesn't mean you actually have that right.
But
it doesn't mean that you're actually going to, what's the word? Fulfill or execute that right. Exercise. There we go. So I agree with you that criminals often use or develop or create or invent or whatever. They often further great things, great technology, whatever. I don't think that necessarily means that we should. That doesn't mean that. I'm talking actual criminal behavior, where like the military, people in the military constantly killing people. The military also has some of the best technology on the planet. And I wouldn't say that that justifies that criminal behavior. Absolutely, it doesn't. And I wouldn't say that that means we should seek out or encourage or find things that do promote criminal behavior. Like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not amazing because it lets criminal behavior happen. That's not what makes it amazing by any stretch of the imagination. Yes, Bitcoin does help criminals. It just does. But that's not what makes it good. So I guess all I'm saying is you just got to be careful when you're drawing those parallels. Yes, I agree that dissenting is a good thing or can be a good thing. It depends what you're saying as you dissent. I agree that things that are against the law can often be good things. But you just got to be careful not to make it look like you're saying, criminals always have the best technology, so let's make sure as many criminals as we want can be running around doing what they want so that technology can happen. That's all I'm saying. You just got to make.
I'll argue for that just because. Well, because I think you would eventually agree with me if I like made it more concise as to what exactly I meant. But I do. There's something to be, and I think there's something to be said. We've kind of gotten to where in the world we do just go like maybe this is how it always was, but like just the image of seeing someone in handcuffs on a paper or on the internet can kind of ruin somebody now. Uh Maybe not. I don't, but I'll still defend the fact, or I don't want to say it's a fact that's kind of poisoning the well for you, but I want to reiterate, like, it's not that let's give more criminals opportunities to do things. It's that a lot of what we've been kind of conditioned since we've been born, whether like it's just like saluting the flag and then singing the national anthem, which was weird because I went to a very like small Christian school, so you'd think that they'd be against it, but no, they were like, no, you gotta say this extra prayer every once every week. And I think that a lot of the issues that we have with people, a lot of the issues that people would first have with Cody, where they're going, no, he's doing something ridiculous. There's a certain benefit to having a society that promotes dissidence is more, I guess, what I'm saying. Where
Yeah, okay, I agree. So I think that the point of distinction has to come when you're defining criminal behavior or dissidence or dissenting or whatever.
Yeah.
I fully agree that dissenting or disagreeing with the government or with the schools or with the corporations, I well, fully is a strong word. I would say I generally strongly agree that, of course, yeah, disagree with them, see where they're wrong, take them down, or prove them useless, whatever. Yeah, sure, disagree, dissent, whatever. The distinction is just you just clarifying like actual criminal behavior, say gang members or the military. That's about the extent of criminal behavior. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, but I don't. If you're just talking about people, journalists and 3D gun printers, okay, that's fine. Dissidents, that's fine. But when you start talking about gangs and the military and bombs, then you say, okay, that's criminal behavior that we're not going to let run rampant just so that we can get technology, right?
Well, I'm not including military as a criminal behavior because I'm trying to.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying that's that's where the point of distinction has to be made. There are two different kinds of criminal behavior. One is just against the law, which is often very good behavior, and the other is killing people for no reason.
There's always a reason.
Yeah, I was going to say, well,
not
for no reason. Not for no reason, but unjustly. So that's where the distinction is, depending on what kind of
Yeah.
criminal behavior you're talking about.
I mean, I'll push it just a little bit further just to try to play. Well, I mean, I don't know that I necessarily believe this, but
Wrong.
I think like what I'm saying as far as you have a society that doesn't like, maybe it's a respect thing too, because it seems like most people's nowadays the highest bad we have all these posts and all these memes about a person is never illegal, or sometimes legal doesn't mean it's good. But then the people's first reaction to something as to why something's bad or why it should is there should be a law against that. Not like it's our kind of it's our generation, our culture's version of like calling down God's wrath on somebody, or at least expressing our the big thing in the sky doesn't like that. But now we're just taught the big thing in Washington doesn't like the big thing in Harrisburg. So the kind of respect, and then as far as making the argument, I'll do gang violence. I think there was probably a better culture, maybe or at least it seems more attractive to me, and that might be just because it's looking at history and it's never exactly how it's presented, but where like a lot of the stuff that corporations run now as far as gambling, and I mean basically all of Vegas and a lot of New York and these different areas. I don't know so much about Pennsylvania. I know there's definitely mob activity, but the culture of it's still the mob is still just another government, but it doesn't have this face. Well, they do. That's the weird thing. Is like the quintessential Italian mob comes in like, well, yeah, they're like, we don't make us do something bad here. Like that's exactly what the government does. The government's just better at it as far as they do it so passive aggressively that we're just like, yeah, no, this is good. We like this. So something like the mob, and now because a lot of this stuff is run by corporations, we just go, no, business is bad. The government should get more involved with this, and the business is like, yes, please, yes, we want more because we can just cut out any kind of a small business. I think it's better for whatever you think of as freedom if you have a society that is less respectful of the law, and that's probably because there was a little bit like the church was much more involved as far as I think at least in the average person's life, say like 60 years ago, where instead of us going, no, that's not legal, or oh, there shouldn't be a law for that, the kind of phrases that people used were more directed at using religion as kind of as what's the word I want to use, like to attack something or to put something down. I think there was more of like more religious expression, and we've just kind of traditional religion, and we've just kind of replaced it with the new one of just, well, this is bad because we all decided it was. And it's like, well, okay, but does that mean it's actually bad? Like, I get wanting laws. I get wanting, like, even people who are like, I get wanting to, like, even if you want to lock people up for smoking marijuana, I get that. I get the people shouldn't be able to do that. They're a danger, blah, blah, blah. But if
You heard it here first, guys. Tim wants all stoners locked
lock
up.
them up, lock them up. We're going to do it like the Philippines. We're going to do it like the Philippines. No, I like I said, I get making that law. I don't get then going, yes, this is just a terrible thing. Well, why? Well, because there's a law. Well, yeah, but why? We all decided and it was a law. Yeah, but why? I don't understand why you have such a disrespect for society.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. Like that is a big difference. The first person says, I think this is bad and I'm going to try to do something about it. And their actions are, locking people up. That's pretty wrong, but at least there is, like you said, some logic there. You get it. They see something that they think is bad and they try to do something about it. The other person later on just assumes that it's bad and insists that it's bad because that's what they heard through the grapevine.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And that's a pretty good thing to consider. But anyway, I didn't follow all of that about the mob and religion and everything, but I think in a lot of ways we're still definitely agreeing. We definitely know that doing things, that disagreeing with the government is often a very good thing. Not always. I mean, there are people that fall into the trap and assume that every single thing that the government says is exactly wrong, and that's pretty obnoxious to assume too. But it might be less obnoxious than assuming everything they say is right, which is what 90% of America does. So, hey guys, first of all, thanks for chatting a little bit there, NY Cartoons. He was saying a while back, I haven't read here. I ended up what's the word? Putting Ben in timeout because it's probably just a bot. So I don't know, whatever. It was funny though. But anyway, NY Cartoons said, if you receive a summons, it's only a piece of paper. However, it would be wise to do what the paper says. And it sucks that that's true, but that is true. And we could probably have a whole discussion about that. Maybe we will. We'll be back momentarily, guys. Just about 30 seconds. I'm going to run our ad here. We'll come back. We'll talk about pieces of paper and summons. And I honestly have no idea what else. BRB. Hey guys, today's show is brought to you by Chronologic.network. Chronologic is an Ethereum-based project that aims to solve time-related problems on the blockchain. Through Chronologic's 3 core products, the Ethereum alarm clock, debt smart contracts, and the day token minting mechanism, they solve the problems of payment scheduling, crypto loan time constraints, and unstable token launches. Find out more at Chronologic.network. If you're not already keeping track of the chat, make sure you get over to you, me, and btc.com/live. That's where you'll find the video, the chat, the show notes, which are kind of skimpy today, but they're there nonetheless. Jump in, chat with Ben the bot, chat with NY Cartoons, chat with Tim. Tim says you have to listen to all the government papers. And yeah, let's talk about it for a sec. Pieces of paper from the government, they suck. But if you don't listen, oftentimes that is bad for you.
That sucks a lot more.
Yeah. So how do we it's almost like freaking Ecclesiastes. Like, what's the point of life then? If sucky things happen, but if you ignore that, or if illegitimate things are all around you, but you have to go along with them anyway, or there's a million ways you could say it. If immoral or unjustified people tell you what to do and you have to obey anyway. We've kind of had discussions about this with I at least once or twice. I remember talking about slavery and how, if you were a slave, God, it was probably around tax season we covered this. I can almost promise you that. But we were kind of asking the question, if you're an actual slave in the old days, whatever, picking cotton or whatever, like how do you cope? Like what do you do with your life? Like when you know that you're being wronged, but you know that it could be worse if you just run away. Like how does that affect your decisions and your beliefs as to what's true and what's allowed and what's okay? Well, man, it's hard.
I don't want to make any decisions for anybody because I have no part of me that is like, this is definitely how somebody should be living. But to me, having kind of self-respect and it has to be about context. You can only have self-respect in context. If you're out in public, you're around other people. What I was saying before about in societies where the police are like raised above regular people, we don't have that fully yet, but there is still something where you can, it's almost like a physical thing you can feel in your body where oh, this is a cop, like or like you're out with people, or you're just, oh yeah, no, he's a cop, and you're just like, oh okay, yeah, where it's not, and I don't even think it's just like it's the libertarian thing. It's just everybody's like, so can I speed around you,
Yeah,
or what are
slam
you
on
gonna
the
do?
brakes. It's like it's it's funny, but it's true, and it's weird how that's everyone's instant response. Even if they're not speeding much, even if they're only going 5 over, they're just like, "Oh shoot." Like before they even have time to think about it, they're just slowing down.
Yeah.
It's almost dangerous, but
Oh yeah, no, it's just putting blacked out cars and then just putting lights on top of them and setting them halfway onto the road isn't distracting at all from people. Uh, but having self respect in any situation where you are, unless you are in a situation like Wilson where you go, no, I mean I can win this very easily. It's just going to be how long do they want to fight it, or how long do they want to like fuck around where they know they're not going to win. Unless you're in some kind of situation like that where you have like a video of the cops doing something to you, don't fucking talk back to them. Just like as far as just surviving, like there's no I love I love seeing like cops, or I mean I don't even believe most of this shit is true. What do you think about cops? Do you think cops is actually true?
the show?
Yeah, it's something about all of them is always just like, this seems like Bear Grylls
No,
level
I bet.
stage sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like it's realistic. I'm sure they're real cops and probably real criminals, but they obviously stage as much of the footage as they can, and they edit out whatever they need
Okay,
to. And
okay, everybody else is like that. You're fucking crazy, bro. I'm like, no, there's no way this happened. I
yeah,
think,
Bear Grylls is the perfect example because that's
yeah,
exactly
yeah.
the same. Where it looks real, and sure, maybe he is on some island in the middle of nowhere, but he has tons of help all around him and tons of editors and whatever.
Okay, but on there, maybe that is because of how staged it is, and people just want to make a bigger reaction. But I don't understand, or even just in regular like videos, like surveillance videos, I've never understood the person who goes, "Hey, fuck you," like to a cop. I'm just like, how is this going to end well for you? There's
No,
like,
no, I bet plenty of people do that.
no, I'm not saying people
I
don't. That's why I'm saying I've seen it in like security videos where people are just arguing. I'm like, I don't like, then you'll see like comments where people are like, see, that cop was restraining himself. Wouldn't you just karate kick somebody in the face if they said something mean to you? I'm like, no, that's bullshit too. But I don't get the idea on the other end that, hey, if I freak out and act like more of a danger to somebody, like regardless of who you are, whether you're a 90-year-old white lady or Daniel, if Daniel goes from being his normal kind of self to a cop, and then he just like starts screaming at them, and they're like, why are you doing this? But like, they're going to get freaked out, and they're probably going to hit you because they can get away with it. If you had a job where someone freaked out and made you like worried for a second, you could just hit them. A lot of people would probably do it.
I I know this is a generality and every situation's different, but I would imagine that's pretty good, that argument that you just made about like why would you flip out at a cop? I I think that's pretty good, not evidence. It's a pretty good argument for the idea of just general peace. Generally having a good attitude no matter what
Yeah.
they're doing to you, you can be the better person. I don't want to sound all hippie and whatever, but kindness and respect, no matter how, no matter what the cop is saying or doing to you, you're not going to accomplish anything by screaming in his face. And a certain level of respect is going to go a long way in that one discussion, and when everyone else sees that discussion, whether it's in real time or on a video or whatever, when they see that, they're going to know that you kept your cool and you had something to say, and they're going to listen. I would imagine, not always, but I would imagine that's way more conducive to discussion and honesty compared to just a yelling match.
I was gonna be like, fuck that, just stay alive. And then you made the point about how it'd be a better representation to other people. And then I was like, fuck that again, because people probably done that. It doesn't do anything. People are still like, yeah, no, let them shoot him. No, but you do have a point there about where in any situation where you are at a disadvantage, unless it's something like with your boss where it's just you're kind of economically disadvantaged, like he doesn't want to give you something. But if you are trying to avoid the attention of somebody and they've already gotten their attention on you and you want them to leave you alone, you just grovel. Like it's the bet. Like you just go, okay. Like maybe if you want to freak out, be scared. Let your adrenaline just turn you back into a 5-year-old who's like, oh no, what's going on? They love that. If the cop's a dick, he'll love to see the fact that you are terrified of him. He'll be like, even if he's not a dick,
that's what gets him off. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially dudes, like having somebody be like, oh, you're terrifying. Like that feels kind of good. Even especially if you're a dick, especially if you're a guy who goes, I want to go collect the pre-prepared. Everybody's going to respect me now. And so, yeah, be like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, officer. That's like, that's exactly what I've done. Anytime I talk to the police, I'm just like, yes, sir. Yeah. Okay, sir. I say like 5 words. I'm like, yes, sir. I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Yes, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir. Please just like,
oh man.
I have no desire to make that interaction longer. That's why I've never videotaped something like that. I've been like, what is he gonna do? Like again, it's not necessarily gonna go well for me when I go, yes, no, I'm videotaping you. What are you gonna do now? Like, well, now I'm gonna arrest you probably.
Yeah. I know. I agree. Like that, I would feel the same way off probably just like, okay, let's get this over with. I don't want to upset anyone. You just want to drive away and I will go the speed limit for the rest of my life. But I don't know. You also got to think, people like Adam Kokesh who do film everything and does have a discussion. That's probably better for society in general, better for the discussion or the discourse, and letting people see all of that happen on YouTube. That has a lot of benefits. Yes, Adam is putting himself at more risk because he's not just sucking up to the cop. But I would imagine that it's a good sacrifice for him to say, okay, I will put myself at risk in order to have this discussion and show people what it's like.
I'll make two caveats to that. If you make money off of having yourself in like spreading in media, if you make anything where clicks matter and where you need people to support you and you aren't just working a normal job, yeah, sure, film it. Also be white, because everything I've said, I mean, I go overboard with it just because the way I look, I could probably get by just like being like nonchalant, because they probably, oh yeah, he's like, he might, like way too many people like, you're a veteran, right? I'm like, no. And they're like, are you sure? I'm like, no, what am I hiding it from you or something? So I feel like I could get by, but, and I'm not.
Are you sure you're not a veteran?
I have no, like the PTSD just wiped it out. Like I just took a lot of ketamine and I don't remember anything. But and I get that you can throw like, well, that wouldn't work for a black person. Like you might still get arrested. Yes. But again, it's not going to get better if you yell at them. It's not going to get better. Like, I don't even want to make that argument, because people who tend to make that argument of like, yeah, just listen to the police, then will also be like, yeah, and the police would never shoot somebody without needing to ever. And I'm like, well, that happens a lot, but there's no real need to give them any more reason than they already would have, just because I mean, what am I like you're probably not the best people. I mean, don't treat them like they're going to be reasonable in a situation after, like, they're not the most moral people to me. I mean, maybe some are. No, that none of them are. I'm not going to do that bullshit. but then also their training is directed towards making them afraid of everybody and treating like every situation. You could die. You could die. Everybody dies. There's so many police that die. They're not even the top 10 occupation where people die in, but we have to have t-shirts made.
With
that's
thin
getting
blue
on a tape.
lines.
yeah. I need to put. It's a big enough thing. No one has a fucking logger stripe on their car that says "I stand with Blue Lives Matter, Lumberjack Lives Matter."
We should do that, Tim. Is that your idea? We'll call it Brown Lives. No, that's too much like.
No,
Black
don't
Lives
do
Matter.
that. What are you talking about? I can't be associated. They'll be like, "What the fuck is this?" And I'm like, "I didn't. It was him." What are you?
Logger Lives Matter. That's good. That's good.
I'll go with that. It would be like Flannel Lives Matter. There, Flannel Lives Matter.
Yes. Holy crap! I want to do it. I want to get flannels that say that. We'll think about it. We'll think about it.
It'd be the whitest thing ever. And like that'd be more offensive to people than All Lives Matter. They're like, this is so much worse.
Oh, jeez. Anyway, so here's what we're gonna do, guys. We're about ready to wrap it up. We still have to do advice of the week, so Tim's gonna be thinking of his. I am gonna very, very briefly, like 30 to 60 seconds, cover this other slightly funny but still serious and maybe kind of sad. This other story that we just I super briefly mentioned it at the beginning of the show, so we might as well. I'll just get to it super quick. What happened is, you all know BitConnect. BitConnect! Or oh no. Anyway, it's funny. This guy that was promoting this BitConnect scam, I don't remember his name. His wife disappeared. So that's the story. I don't, the theory at first she was just thought to be a missing person, maybe marriage trouble, and she just ran away or something, or maybe she was afraid of all the legal implications of what was going on with BitConnect. But she was gone long enough, and her car was just found and stuff, and they wonder if she could have been taken in some sort of retaliation for the BitConnect scam.
I don't know why they wouldn't just kind of jump to that at first. Like, she wasn't just somebody's wife; she was the wife of Bitcoiner or whatever the fucking guy did. Like, he stole a lot of people's money. So why? I mean, maybe he was immediately in the police for like, no, we had to wait for like whatever period. But that'd be a pretty big reason.
I'm sure it crossed their mind, but the longer time went by, the more they were like, okay, this is more serious than marriage trouble. Maybe. Well, maybe not. Maybe marriage trouble is way worse than BitConnect scams. I don't know.
When do you think the BitConnect guy had like admitted to whatever authorities came to it? They're like, "Sir, do you have anybody who you think would do this, or anyone who'd like to harm you?" And he's like, "Well, I scammed a couple thousand people."
Yeah.
Like, oh, great.
Like, can you think of anyone? Just rack your brain. There's got to be someone out there that has some beef with you.
Yeah, might have like an issue. Might want to scare you a little bit. Maybe she's probably not dead. Don't worry, sir. She's probably dead. Why, sir? Well, I stole a lot of money, and it's not that hard to buy a hitman online anymore. Like, what, sir? I'm like, yeah, I'm from Bitcoin. So like, oh, sir, you're going to jail.
Well, all I can say is, like, yeah, I've laughed quite a bit in the past 2 minutes, but it is sad, and she probably didn't, even if she was involved, she probably didn't know what she was doing. I doubt she was even really involved.
Why are you saying she isn't involved? Why is the wife definitely knew what was going on? Why does everybody give the wife a pat? They're like, she had no idea he was running a drug lab inside of their house. She never even noticed. She didn't know that he was running a giant Ponzi scheme constantly. It was like, yes, no, honey, this is all going to work out for us. Because if she didn't know, he would have left her afterwards. Like, he would have, if he was doing something like this and keeping it from his wife, he would most likely have been planning on just leaving and ditching. You don't go, hey, honey, I made this huge Ponzi scam. That's why we have all this money now. And then be like, yeah, no, if he thought that he had to keep it a secret, he wouldn't just be like, here you go. You're not hiding all that money. She
Man.
definitely knew. She definitely knew something. And I see some people talking online where they're like, maybe she killed herself because of what happened. I would put that more towards like being scared. Like, I'm sure they got death threats. I'm sure they got plenty of them. I mean, people get death. I mean, we still haven't gotten it. I don't think I have. I feel kind of bad about that. Nobody on Twitter tells me they're going to kill me. I need stuff to be able to report to Twitter.
I don't know. Ben was getting pretty revolutionary in the chat. Maybe that's probably the closest we've gotten.
Is it? We will kill all idiots with bad looking mohawk haircuts and bowl cuts. Anybody in a Bitcoin shirt gets lined up against the wall first.
Yeah, I don't know that I have no idea whether I should assume she knows or knew or assume she didn't know. I think it's entirely possible that she had no idea. I'm not going to say that it's likely, but I could totally see it where he just goes to work every day and brings home the bacon. And what does she care where it comes from or what exactly he does every day? But yeah, I have no idea. You could be right, Tim. We are over our hour, so it's time for Advice of the Week, the part of the show where Tim and Dan come out and share Advice of the Week. You got anything, Tim? I could go.
Don't listen to Daniel. Definitely involve your wife in any scam that you're going to run, because every movie I've ever seen tells me that it's hard to run a scam while then you're also having to lie to your wife, so you might as well just get her involved. Advice: donate to Cody Wilson. Maybe donate to somebody who's actually making something and isn't just kind of go like you. I mean, do whatever. Donate to whoever you want. But if you want to, there are actual things where you can go, hey, I want to secure something. I want to actually secure a freedom in the world beyond just having it written down. I think there are multiple things that you can download or you can find that, even if it isn't what I would consider useful. Maybe you would. Maybe whether that's good or bad, you'll find something. And I think it is good to kind of not just spend all your money on yourself. Maybe donate a little bit of money, get a t-shirt, just engage in consumerism.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'll love you a lot more if you run around with a Defense Distributed T-shirt instead of a thin blue line T-shirt.
Daniel will love you a long time for your Defense Distributed shirt.
I will.
I still have the shirt, but it's way too small on me now.
So I'm gonna drop back to the old my hippie kindness comment. I know Tim has his caveats, and I know I'm probably just some hippie kindness loser, but I'm going to make that my advice. I think there is real value in being good to other people. I think it's good for you. I think it's good for them, and I think it's good for everyone that sees it. Again, I know that's a generality. I know there are caveats, but I still believe there is a lot of good involved with good. So that's what I got. Ladies and gents, it's been a blast. It's been a great hour. We got thanks again, NY Cartoons, for jumping in the chat. Ben. That was his chat going by. Yeah, whatever. Thanks for joining us, I guess.
I'll take
we'll
more
see you all.
Full arguments between bots in the chat. I'll go for that. Have like an Ann Prim fighting an anarcho-socialist.
We come back next week and Tim has not moved the entire week. He's still like, he says capitalism won't. I'm gonna prove it to him.
I'm still arguing with it. They're just sending me emojis.
Yeah. I got him this time. It's a gold emoji.
I
gold
got this guy.
Perfect.
I'm gonna fuck him up with this logic right now.
Guys, come back next week every Thursday from 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern. We had, a bit of a fiasco with the Unpopular Opinion show, but it's coming back on schedule as of yesterday. So I think I say that every week, but we're still sorting it out. They've only done 5 episodes, so we're making progress. That is every Wednesday. Make sure you check out Tim's show every Tuesday. Tim's 2 Cents. He's been killing it lately. Tim, tell us about your transition, because originally you were taking specific issues and arguing both sides. Not arguing, but at least laying out both sides. Recently, you transitioned a little bit to just talk about general philosophy and ideas and rants and whatever. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm trying to do more of I guess probably I should start just recording them earlier and then send to you in the morning, like almost like just like a Monday morning, like whatever happened, whatever I thought about in the last week, I'll try to just pick a topic instead of any like particular belief system and just
Yeah, like
kind of
freaking Red Hen.
yeah. Yeah, no, I went after a restaurant real hard.
All right. So keep an eye out for that every did I say Tuesday? I meant Monday. Every Monday is Tim's show, Tim's 2 cents. Tuesday is Zach's show. Screw him for not being here tonight. But he does the Coin Pod, and you can get there through thecoinpod.com. Still takes you to our main website where you can find everything you need. All of it is at you, me, and BTC.com. We love every one of you. Thank you so much, NY Cartoons, for jumping in the chat with us. We'll see all the rest of you live or recorded if you're listening to the podcast. Thank you, John Stewart, for the music we're hearing right now. Goodbye and good night.
Bye. Follow me on Twitter, I guess, maybe.
Baker's Dozen 93. Bye for real.